matter is today we study the architecture of 8051 microcontroller. In architecture, the main role is in architecture 8051 microcontroller. The main role is CPU. The work of CPU is to perform arithmetic operation and logical operation. In arithmetic operation, there are addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and logical operation. There are logical or, logical and logical NOR. And the second is there are two types of memories: ROM and RAM. ROM and RAM. Read-only memory. The full form of ROM is read-only memory, and the full form of RAM is read-access memory. So, guys, first read-only memory. There are 4 kilobytes. The capacity in 8051, the ROM capacity is 4 kilobytes, and their work is to store permanently, to store program in permanently in storage, and RAM read access memory. In 8051 RAM capacity is 128 bytes, and the work of RAM is to store program temporarily in device 8051. So then we see 4 IO ports. Here we see 4 IO ports, means IO ports, input output ports. In 8051 the 4 IO ports work is their work is to input output ports, and there are 4 parallel ports, P0, P1, P2 and P3, and the capacity of 4 IO ports is 8 bit, and they can be used as externally, and there can be used is input and output ports. Here we see input, the arrow is input and the arrow is output. In external and internal arrow we see in architecture of 8051, and the work of serial ports is to, in 8051 the serial ports work is to communicate with other device. This is the work of serial ports. And the interrupts control. There are 5 interrupts in 8051 microcontroller. There are 5 interrupts which they can perform to pause current task to handle urgent task. This is the work of interrupts control. And timer and control. Here we see timer and control. In 8051 timer and control capacity is 16 bit capacity, and the timer and counters. The work of timer and counters in 8051 is to perform program in such given timing and counting, and the counting events, and they are counting events. This is the block diagram and architecture of 8051 microcontroller. And we see the nodes of microcontroller 8051, which they are counts in university of 8 marks. Here the main role is CPU. In 8051 microcontroller, CPU perform arithmetic and logical operation. In arithmetic operation, addition, subtraction, divide, etc. it will becomes, and in logical operation, logical and, logical or, logical NOR comes in logical operation. And in memory there are 2 types of memory. ROM, the capacity of ROM is 4 kilobyte. And the work of ROM is to store permanently program in device. So second memory, RAM. In 8051 the capacity of 8051 microcontroller is 128 bytes. They store temporary in storage. They store program temporarily in storage. Input output ports. The input output has 4 IO ports, which the name is P0, P1, P2, P3. They are bidirectional, and they in architecture they are parallel in architecture. Timers and counters. The 8051 has 16-bit timers counter, which can be used for timing operation and counting events. तो देखते हैं interrupt system मतलब क्या होता है. The 8051 has 5 interrupt source, allowing it to pause current task to handle urgent task. मैंने आपको एक्सप्लेन किया था ब्लॉक डायग्राम के वक्त वो क्या वर्क करता है. They pause current task to handle urgent task. Oscillator clock, मैंने आपको oscillator clock मतलब भी बताया था. The 8051 microcontroller plays based on clock signal typically generated by an external oscillator. Serial ports मतलब भी मैंने आपको बताया था. In 8051 microcontroller the work of serial ports is टू कम्युनिकेट विथ अदर डिवाइस। ये है गाइस 8051 माइक्रो कंट्रोलर का, आप स्क्रीनशॉट ले लीजिए। आई होप आपने स्क्रीनशॉट सभी इसके ले लिया होगा। गाइस थोड़ा ब्लैक बोर्ड की हैंडराइटिंग थोड़ी अच्छी नहीं है, तभी भी मैंने आपको समझने लायक थोड़ा बहुत लिख रहा हूँ। गाइस ये MCA नाम के पेपर में, ये बीटेक 4th सेम में MCA में ये क्वेश्चन आता है, 8 मार्क का क्वेश्चन रहता है ये। और मैंने रिसर्च किया है कि ये 8 मार्क का तो आता ही है, 8 नहीं तो 7 मार्क का क्वेश्चन आता ही है। अगर मैंने जो नोट्स दिए आप वही लिखोगे तो 7 मार्क तो कहीं पे भी नहीं गए, मतलब 8 तो पक्के ही है। और अपने मन से थोड़ा बहुत लिख लेना कि दे आर रिलेटेड टू 8051 माइक्रो कंट्रोलर एंड दिस इज द एक्सप्लेनेशन ऑफ 8051 माइक्रो कंट्रोलर, आप ऐसे लिख लेना। तो चलिए गाइस